Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. And today we're going to be reviewing Emerald City, episode 7. They came first. And we open up this week with Dorothy and Scarecrow and Sylvie headed to see Glinda. And we know part of the deal that the wizard cut with Dorothy was for her to go with the Scarecrow and Sylvie to see Glinda, and her plan is to kill Glinda in exchange for a way back home, as the wizard has a way to reproduce the vortex or the tornado to get her back home. So she hasn't revealed this information to Scarecrow as of yet. So he doesn't really know what's going on. And we're kind of like in this situation of, is Dorothy going to go through with that? And so we get Naaman in this scene. And Naaman's been tasked by the wizard with seeking out and destroying witches. You know, these little witch armies that Glinda has been preparing to go to war with the wizard in Emerald City. And Naaman, or who I believe is going to end up being, the lion or the cowardly lion from the other interpretations. I believe, Naaman is, or you can pretty much tell, he's a bit conflicted. He doesn't want to go seek out these witches because he's been instrumental in helping the Scarecrow and Dorothy, and it seems he's more on their side than the wizard side. So he's definitely in opposition to the wizard. So this is, Scarecrow. He arrives at the halfway, the safe house rather, that was set up by Glinda, en route to get to see Glinda. And so Scarecrow and Dorothy, they're kind of, stopped there at this point. And they have this conversation where Dorothy basically does end up revealing to Scarecrow that she's going to have to leave because she planned on taking Glinda out so she could go home. And Scarecrow is, he's not very happy about that because he understands now he's supposed to go back with Glinda and meet with them. But Dorothy is kind of conflicted with her plan, so she kind of comes up with this plan where they all should just forget, just leave and go off on their own together. But we also get this very interesting scene where Sylvie, as we know she's a witch, when Dorothy's trying to leave, she's just flipping the safe house over and over again. They don't know what's going on. Then they find that Sylvie using her great power, and Sylvie's doing this because she's grown quite fond of Dorothy, and that's her way of letting Dorothy know, hey, I don't want you to leave, and I'm going to keep you here. And so, in this scene, we got the Witch of the West, and the Witch of the West, after she revealed the plan to the wizard, what Glinda's plan was, how she was going to create this army of witches, the wizard needs her to pick out and to determine who are the witches inside Emerald City, as he has literally a witch hunt going on. And we get a little bit more information why the Witch of the West is helping the wizard, because in the last battle when the witches went out to fight with the bees, um, a lot of them were sent to their death. A lot of them died, and the Witch of the West kind of blames Glinda, um, for this, for their deaths and things of this nature. So this is why the Witch of the West is working with the wizard, because she doesn't like how these witches were created to go off to war, in which this case the same thing is happening, and a lot of them end up dead. So this is the motivation behind the Witch of the West, not to be on the side of Glinda. But she's also put in a really tough situation, as she doesn't want to give up the witches because she knows that the wizard will kill them. So she's in bad situations on both ends. If she allows the witches, or she doesn't identify them, then Glinda sends them off to war. If she tells the wizard which ones are which, then he gets rid of them. So she's able to cut a deal with the wizard, and the deal is that she will take care of the witches and keep them from going off to battle. But things don't go as planned. During the witch hunt, the witches start to fight back with their, immense powers and things of that nature. And one of the witches who's, captured, uh, the wizard doesn't really honor his bargain. The townspeople go crazy trying to kill the witch. She's trapped in this pit, so to speak, and she's I'm not sure if it's magic or she tries to use her powers and she dies in this pit, but she actually ends up while she's trying to use her powers and she's trapped in this pit that the Witch of the West uh, used originally to protect her, I believe. She ends up dead, and the Witch of the West blames herself for this. She blames the wizard for not keeping his bargain as well. So she's now in this place where she really doesn't trust anybody. And this is interesting. We got the Tin Man, our Tin Man, and Lady L, or the princess, and she's, after the death of her father being killed by a witch, she's now become the queen. So she's taken on a lot of responsibility, and it's very stressful for her. So her and Jack have this scene while they're headed back to the palace where uh, he's trying to comfort her. It's not working. She doesn't like his attempts, and she just puts him out. She just puts him out in the middle of these woods, and I forgot the name of these woods, but they're like these dangerous woods, and he's just left there, and it gets worse. He's, as his parts are mechanical, as he's trying to get away from whatever dangers lurking these dangerous woods. He starts to rust out, and he can't even move to get away. So he's in really bad shape. And just when he thinks he's not going to get any help, she comes back, and she comes back with oil to help him. As if she known he was going to have this issue, and they have this kind of romantic slash erotic scene first in the woods where she's oiling him up, you know, and then they get back to the palace, and their relationship really gets a lot better. Now she goes to reveal to him what she looks like behind that mask, and I really wanted to see that. I was hoping that we would get that scene, but he stopped her and said it doesn't matter what you look like. He sees her as the person she is on the inside. And so they just have this romantic moment. And um, don't know how that's going to play out. I don't know if Jack's still interested in Tip, or if that's just going to be a friend thing, or if Tip's going to somehow get back in the picture, and it's going to create an issue for him and now the queen. And so just a scene with Tip. In this scene, it seems as if the crowd's getting a little bit crazy after this witch situation, and the wizard ends up making this decree. And the decree goes something like he's tried to live alongside magic to suppress it, but now with all that's happened, it's become so dangerous that he feels it's a mistake. And now his plan is just to destroy all the witches and destroy everything to do with magic. So he's going for a total wipeout. And Tip gets wind of this. She's headed back to let the Witch of the West know that it's time for them to get out of there. That this thing is really going bad, and that the wizard's really going all the way over the edge now, and he wants to just rid himself of all magic and witches and everything that comes with it. So this is very interesting. This really was shocking because really shocking because you at the safe house, Lucas or Scarecrow and Dorothy, you know, uh, Scarecrow decides to let Dorothy, to accept her idea of, we should just abandon this entire thing, or we should, I'm sorry, kill Glenda. They actually decided to kill Glenda, and they were all going to go back to, uh, Dorothy's world, go back, to our world. And so Scarecrow seemingly agreed with this. Everybody seemed on the same page. And, they had their very romantic moment back at the safe house. And, we're thinking everything is going great and that they're going to go through with this plan. They finally arrive at Glenda's palace or home or whatever she calls it. And, it's just this all white, it looks like marble, place she lives at. And, they're basically saying, well, you weren't supposed to bring Dorothy, some of her witches or aides, and they're saying that, and the Scarecrow's letting her know, oh, she's okay, and this and that. And so Glenda finally comes out. And so we're looking to get this story about what's Scarecrow's involvement with this, what's he to Linda, and this and that. And Glenda walks right up to Scarecrow and she kisses him, and we find out they have this they have this romantic relationship, and that they were both in love. And it's so crazy that then the Scarecrow, he basically turns to Dorothy and says, I'm sorry, Dorothy. And he tells Glenda that Dorothy planned to kill her, but as Dorothy's helped him along the way so long, that, he's hoping that, she has some type of clemency, that she has, that she's pardoned in this situation. And it seems like Glenda is on board with that. And so we just don't know. We don't know. I don't know what to make of this, because at one end I'm going, now, is the Scarecrow playing Glenda, and does he really, uh, you know, um, is he really on Dorothy's side? Has their relationship had that much time to progress? But what's been interesting stories I've been hearing around the internet and things like that is, a lot of people just weren't shipping the relationship between Dorothy and Scarecrow or Lucas. They felt that it was kind of rushed, that it was, too sudden and too fast. And that's what's concerning about the situation with Glenda after he got his memories back. That seems to be a lot more, there's a lot more history in there and connection there, it would seem, than the little time he's had to develop with Dorothy. So I don't know how this is going to play out. but it sure left that kind of cliffhanger. So we can try to figure out what's going to happen on the next episode. Just another scene with the wizard and Naaman, and him coming to the conclusion that he's going to destroy all the witches. Scene with Jack, and this is where Jack is dropped off in these dangerous woods, and his he doesn't have any oil, and he's beginning to rust. And this was Scarecrow and Dorothy at the safe house, and basically having their romantic moment, which just made it so much more confusing. When he finally gets to Glenda, and we find out that him and Glenda were an item, or are an item. And this was Lucas begging for Dorothy to be pardoned, you know um, at Glenda's palace. This is where the queen now returns to oil up Jack, because she had basically put him out of the carriage because he really wasn't being comforting to her while she was mourning the loss of her father. Just another scene with Scarecrow and Lucas en route to Glenda. Wizard and Dorothy. Them back at the safe house. Again, them en route. So, I guess I'll give my final thoughts on this week's episode and see what we can expect. So, still didn't get the lion, becoming the lion. As I mentioned in earlier episodes, we have seen, this figure with this lion head dress. I really think because of the title of next week's episode, we're probably gonna get the lion in that, because I've just seen what it's entitled. I believe it's entitled something like The Lion in Winter or something like that. So I think he's gonna go full circle, by next week. So I think we will get the lion in his story, because I don't think it's many episodes left. I don't think it's only about maybe about 10. So we're down to the last two, I believe, right? Um, but didn't get that yet. Uh, again, the most concerning, thing on my mind is Glinda and the Scarecrow. That just came that came totally out of nowhere. I wasn't expecting that, and I wasn't expecting the Scarecrow's reaction. The way the show set it up with them, I guess my prediction would be that the Scarecrow is playing Glinda at this point. I think they're going to try to ship us that, that throughout the uh, relationship he's had with Dorothy throughout the show, which I still think is been very short. you know, uh, but maybe there's something else going on with him and Glenda. I don't know, but I think the way the show's presenting this to us, I do feel that he might be playing Glenda, but at the same time, you know, maybe they're trying to do something else with it. I don't know. I'm kind of a bit vexed, on this week's episode. That came out of nowhere, and it did, kind of throw me off. But I like it. I like it. I like it. Did something unpredictable like that, and I like the story has another place, to go. Especially as we get up to the point where they're going to wage this large war with the witches against Emerald City. But guys, that's this week's episode. Feel free to leave your comments. What you think is gonna happen with Emerald City, and let us know if you like the show. If you enjoy watching it, if you think it's lived up to your expectations, or of the next level of Wizard of Oz stories. Um, don't forget to like and subscribe, and take care, guys.